1, 2, 3, let's go.
Wednesday afternoon, hoping you will tune into our show. It's hosted by
survive without the usual human comforts that we take for granted.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, as you say, what effects does that have on the human brain, on the body itself, etc.? I remember the film, the great war film, The Great Escape, I think it was.
Yeah.
With I can't think of the guy's name. Steve, he was a great actor. He died quite young, Steve something, but he was on the motorbike. But every time he got into trouble, and I guess other prisoners too, in the German prisoner of war camp,
Yeah.
he was put into the cooler. They called it the cooler, if you've ever seen the film, which I think was either just, again, something you just go underground into this container, or something similar to that, and you were just locked up for a day, for 3 days, depending on the punishment. And you just thought, if you watch that film and you think, my God, how awful it has to be confined, and obviously solitary confinement, but that's real confinement. I would have thought, I mean, some prisoners, not just in this country, but some prisoners who've done awful things have to be kept separate, don't they, from the main prison population,
Yeah.
often for the rest of their days. I mean, I won't name anybody, but certainly in America, there's a guy, he murdered his family back in 2018, I think it was. Quite a famous case, and he got a whole life sentence. They commuted a death sentence to whole life. And although he's not in solitary,
Yeah.
he can't mix with other prisoners because they think they will kill him because of what he did. So in that sense, he'll see the guards. I mean, I don't know what his conditions are, whether he just stays in a cell all the time. He must have some exercise, I would think. But again, when you are deprived
Yeah.
of social contact with other human beings, we are fundamentally social creatures, aren't we? We need and we like people being around us. I mean, sometimes we all like a bit of peace and quiet ourselves and spend time with ourselves, but often we do need that human friendship. So yeah, I don't think it would do anybody any good. Clearly, it's a bit different if a guy like Norm has devised this himself as a means of entertaining his fans. So he's not kept there in conditions he doesn't want to be in. So there must be a different element. But if it's solitary confinement as a punishment and you can't escape that, then it must be a pretty awful sort of punishment, I would have thought.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. So there's something that I've been seeing a lot of on the news, and it's going on to football, and it's the supercomputer. I don't know if you've ever heard of that. Have you heard of this?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Now the supercomputer is being used in almost every aspect of our lives now. Some people use it in predicting a date.
Predicting a date?
Yeah, like going out on a date with.
I see.
Yeah. So people been using it to predict that, and then you have sports people. They use it they can use it to predict. They're not always accurate, but then they can use it to predict the outcome of a football match, for instance, between Arsenal and Chelsea, or Liverpool and Manchester United, or Crystal Palace and West Ham, and they could actually go as far as narrowing it down to the formation as well. So they could say, well, if Crystal Palace, for instance, plays this formation, they're likely to lose by 3 goals, or they're likely to win by 5 goals, that sort of thing.
At the moment, my team, Crystal Palace, as you mentioned them, are likely to lose whoever they play and whatever they do, because they can't win a game. They've not won a single game this season. So we'll leave that to one side, I think.
We'll use another team then.
Yeah, not a good example. Thank you very much.
Well,
but
they
I take
haven't.
your point anyway.
Yeah.
I take your
Yes.
point.
So, would you let it predict your suitable mate for you when you're going out on a date? Would you? Is that something?
The leader of our gang will make the show go with a bang and fund the aim of everything Custis. And fund the aim of everything Custis.
So, would you let it predict your suitable mate for you when you're going out on a date? Would you? Is that something that you would trial?
I mean, it sounds a bit like AIs. I mean, I think supercomputers are what they use in AI, and it's all about prediction, isn't it? Based on simulations, based on millions of examples of something, so that they can say, well, in that event, that is likely to happen. As I think we've touched on this before, that it's not a magical panacea for prophesying the future. It's just a means of looking at what's happened in the millions of times and saying, well, in that circumstance, this is likely to happen. And I think they can even use that to predict lottery numbers. I don't think it's ever worked. It's been quite close, but in other words, if a supercomputer can analyze every single set of the main lottery draw, every set of 6 numbers, ever since it started in 94, I think it was, then it could actually predict precisely what the next 6 should be based on all that data. But it's not yet worked. I think it's got quite close, sort of 4 numbers maybe out of 6, which is still an achievement. But I guess that said, ultimately, it's all about probability, possibility, statistics. They cannot tell the future, clearly. So no matter what's happened before, it cannot possibly necessarily accurately predict what's going to happen. So no, I think things like dating, I think a lot of dating sites, they kind of use information about people that they try to say, well, you're going to be compatible with that person because you both share this, you both like that. And that's all very well. I don't know whether they've moved on from that at all, but often the best relationships are where people actually have, yes, some fundamental similarities of ideas and things, but actually, vive la différence, as the French say. The difference is often what cling together and really make a good relationship. If 2 people feel exactly the same or largely the same on things, they both enjoy this, that, and the other, and they both think the same, life could become a bit mundane and tedious if you've got nothing to debate. A good old debate, a good old argument, kept in good spirits, is often a good thing to have in a relationship. So no, I wouldn't put any trust. I wouldn't put any trust in something like that at all. I remember I actually a song I wrote about it, which you may remember, goes back not that long, a couple of years, I think. But I went on a dating site for a few months. Had some nice interactions, actually. But there was this lady, she was actually Russian, and she was it came up on my computer, my laptop, that we were very compatible. She was a very, very attractive lady as well. And so we spoke. I think it was just spoke on the phone initially before we actually met. But I remember her saying in this lovely Russian English, if you know what I mean. She was saying, I said, well, what do you hope for in a relationship? What are you looking for? And she said, and I can't do a Russian accent, but she said, I want a smart head. I've got a song called Smart Head. I said, oh, you want a smart head? It didn't kind of ring. I thought, what's she talking about? But it became very obvious. She wants an intelligent person and so on. And even when we did meet, we had a couple of dates actually, but it didn't progress really after that. But we had some interesting discussions, and she was very keen. She would only go out with, she'd only meet and want to be with for the future a smart head. Wow. And it was quite amusing. I thought it was a lovely expression. because it says what she wanted to say, and I think we understand what a smart head is. We'd just say, so someone's a bit intelligent or whatever, but she wanted a smart head. And yeah, she was pleasant, but I think probably there were too many areas that we didn't, probably neither of us felt it was going to go anywhere. But yeah, so I'm not sure about supercomputers, because they're not going to really look for differences. They will look for similarities. And in human relationships, you're not always going to be able to say, that's going to work.
Yeah.
And I think that's the point. That's the magic of being human. It's not predictable. People can get on even if they're not supposed to get on, statistically, or something like that. And that's the brilliance of the fact that every human being is unique when you think about it.
That's true.
We all have a different vantage point, don't we?
Absolutely. Yeah, I do remember your song, the Smart Head. I remember that.
Smart Head. Well, that's what that was based on. I actually said, I think I used the word señorita, sort of Spanish.
All right.
Because I didn't know what the word was for a young. She wasn't that young, but a woman in Russian. I mean, I probably could have researched that, but no. So I said this señorita wanted a smart head. But yeah, the song is absolutely true as to things we talked about, and we made a couple of jokes about it all. About I said I would propose to her. I was sort of joking about it, and she said, "Let's get on with our wedding," and all this sort of stuff. So she was very nice lady. But alas, it wasn't to be.
Yeah, no. Right, so this is all we've got time for. It goes very quick, doesn't it? The time.
It does. It does go quick.
So this is all we've got time for. You've been watching the Alien Spaceship with myself, Emmy Hikins, and he calls me bruv.
And me, Trevor Gear, and he calls me Cuz.
Yeah, so join us again next week for another interesting episode. It's goodbye from me.
And it's goodbye from me.
Of our gang will make the show go with a bang, and fund the aim of everything customers, and fund the aim of everything